Walk beneath a mature stand of mountain gray gum in East Gibson, and the primary impression is abundance. The trunks rise like columns through a high, closed canopy. Many are the product of natural regeneration following nearly a century of growth, functioning as living habitat, stored carbon, and some of Australia's strongest structural hardwood. From the road, this resource appears immensely valuable. On a landowner's balance sheet, however, that value effectively does not exist. On January 1, 2024, the Victorian government officially ended all commercial native timber harvesting operations across their state forests. While private native forestry remains technically legal, it is now subject to a regulatory system requiring costly assessments, surveys, and years of negotiation. For many small landholders, the professional expense of seeking a permit can exhaust the project's expected return before a single tree is approved. A right that can only be exercised after years of uncertainty and substantial cost is not a practical right. It is a theoretical permission that functions as a prohibition, leaving regional resources and local landholders in a state of legal paralysis. Current policy relies on a biological fallacy, the image of a forest as a fixed collection of trees that remains static if left alone. In reality, eucalypt forests are shaped by constant change. They compete, open, close, and naturally die off, creating the vital gaps necessary for a new generation to rise. Much of the modern landscape was birthed by the catastrophic Black Friday fires of 1939. This massive disturbance killed millions of hectares of forest, which triggered the extensive natural regeneration we see today. Because fire, drought, and disease are the natural drivers of forest structure, the total exclusion of human activity does not necessarily lead to a natural state. The forest itself does not stand still. When conservation policy demands the complete removal of productive use, it ignores the very disturbance-driven biology that created the forest in the first place. Historical practices like broad-scale industrial clear-felling and excessive soil disturbance caused significant ecological damage, leading to deep-seated public opposition to logging. Modern management proposes a different path: adaptive variable retention forestry. This method replaces arbitrary tree counts with a focus on measured volume and growth. By calculating the specific annual growth increment of a stand, a forester can ensure the harvest never exceeds what the forest replaces. This starts with a map of what must remain. Hollow-bearing trees, waterways, and rainforest patches are identified and excluded from the operational area before any commercial stems are selected. The forest canopy remains dominant across the property. Harvesting occurs individually or in small groups, utilizing narrow extraction routes that are repeatedly reused rather than continually expanded. This distinguishes stewardship from mining. Where mining removes a finite resource, sustainable forestry maintains the living capital and harvests only the biological interest. To test the economic impact of this method, consider a hypothetical 100-hectare block of healthy regrowth forest. If a professional inventory establishes an annual growth increment of 2.5 cubic meters per hectare, the maximum sustained yield for the entire 100-hectare property is 250 cubic meters of log volume. Once those logs reach a boutique mill, the focus shifts to recovery. Roughly 38% of that volume becomes saleable sawn timber, while the rest provides residues for landscape material or biochar. The economic value grows at every stage. $50,000 of standing timber transforms into $100,000 when delivered to a mill, and reaches over $140,000 as wholesale green timber. After kiln drying and finishing, local labor and skill transform that initial harvest into approximately $475,000 of high-value flooring and architectural products. A harvest on just 100 hectares supports nearly $500,000 in regional economic activity while leaving the ecosystem intact and continuously forested. Scaling this proof up reveals the macro potential of Victoria's 7.5 million hectare public native forest estate. Under any modern model, national parks, old growth, and high conservation areas remain permanently excluded from production. Even if the state managed a footprint of just 0.1% of that estate each year, the impact would be substantial. This means that in any single year, 99.9% of the forest estate remains completely untouched by harvesting. If we project this over an 80-year cycle, assuming no area is entered twice, the long-term footprint remains incredibly limited. After 8 decades, 92 mountain gray gums will continue their natural cycle of growth, decay, and fire, regardless of regulation. Because society's demand for structural timber is constant, the material must be sourced from somewhere. Sourcing durable, local hardwood allows buildings to store carbon for generations, displacing the need for energy-intensive materials like steel and concrete, or timber imported from poorly regulated markets. Victoria does not have to choose between destructive logging and total abandonment. The challenge is to establish a system that distinguishes destruction from stewardship, allowing intelligent use while the overwhelming majority of the forest remains standing.